With today's video, we're going to talk about the Brummel splice. The Brummel splice is a very nice splice for single braid ropes, hollow braids. This is a 12-strand hollow braid rope. You can see here how it's hollow. And what's so nice about the Brummel splice is it's very strong, relatively easy to do, and it's self-locking. The other interesting thing about the Brummel splice is there's more than one way to do it. Today we're going to look at two different ways to do the Brummel splice. The first way we're going to look at it is when you have both ends available, so that you can work with both ends to put an eye in one end. The other method we're going to show is a method when you can only use one side. The other side is not available. Maybe there's already an eye or thimble in the rope at that point. So let's get started. Now the first thing you have to do is get the end of your rope, put some tape on the end about 4 to 5 diameters in length. So we have half-inch rope, so we want to get to about 3 inches or to 4 inches. Then what you're going to do is cut it at a sharp angle to create a pointed end. Once you have your pointed end, add some tape. I'm going to use some blue tape here. Use whatever tape you have. I'm going to use some blue electrical tape. The color doesn't matter. You'll notice I'm starting on the standing part of the rope, heading towards the end. This creates a nice overlap, kind of like the shingles on your house. And it'll help it run smoothly when you're passing it through the center of the rope. You could go the other way, but this way seems to work a little bit better. So there we go, we've got a nice point. Now I've already done the same on the other side, and I've done it in red so you have an idea of the two ends of the rope visually. So the first step is determining how long of a tail we want. Now your tail has to be at least 20 diameters. So this is half-inch rope, so 20 diameters is 10 inches. Now you could always make it longer. So if you didn't have a ruler handy, you could use a piece of paper or some other tool that you know the length to get your basic idea down there. Because longer is good, shorter is bad. So since we have a ruler, we're going to measure our 10 inches for half-inch rope and make a mark. We call this mark A. From mark A, we want to make our reference mark. Our reference mark is 3 rope diameters up, which will be then 1.5 inches, since this is half-inch rope. So here's our reference mark. Then, from the reference mark, we can make our eye size, whatever size we like. This is about a 3-inch eye. Looks pretty good. So we will make it. This will be mark B. Okay, so you can see here we've got our tail leading up to mark A, around the eye to mark B. Now, the first step is to open up at mark B, and we're going to pass the end through. Now with 12-strand or single braid ropes, a lot of times you can open it up with your fingers and put your fingers through at that point. If you have a tool, be it a fid, a pair of pliers, whatever, you can use the pointy end of the pliers to help go through. Now, whatever tool you use to go through, once you have it through, look on both sides. You want to have the same number of strands. It's a 12-strand rope, so you want to have 6 strands on each side. So take a quick look at that. Okay, so we have 6 strands on each side. Now we're going to just take our tail and push it through. And I'm just going to follow that tool that I created. You can see our eye now, as we've done that right through. The next step So we're going to take the other end. That was our blue tail that went through. Now we're going to take the end that we had the red tape on. We wanted to go through A. Same way. And we can pull this a little bit to make it easier to see, easier to work with. And once again, just going to open that up with whatever you have handy. It can be a pencil or any sort of tool. And you just want to make sure it's the same on each side. So you open that up a little bit. Doesn't hurt to open it up a little that way to make it easier for your end to fit right through and follow right behind. Pull that all through. As we go. Okay, so that's going through. Now we can line up our mark B and our reference point. Again, the way it was. Pull the last of the slack. And you can see now we have our eye and our locking splice. We just need to bury this tail. The tail is going to go down inside the center of this rope. When it goes inside, this rope is going to get a little bit bigger to make space for it, and of course it gets shorter. So we're going to have to go past this point. We need to go about a quarter of the distance. So if we eyeball that, a quarter of the distance is about here. We'll make a mark. So we're going to insert into the rope. Take a look here, this V that's being made right in here. When you look at that where the V is, you want to enter one rope diameter down. So once again, we'll take our marker, we'll look at this and say one rope diameter is right in here. So that's where we're going. So we're going to open it up, we're going to put a tool. Now, it's nice if you have a formal FID or one of these with a hook. If you don't, you can make your own tool. One simple way to do that is if you had a coat hanger, you could cut the coat hanger at 2 points, bend it tight, just as we have here. You can then bend over the ends, and you've made yourself a wire FID. It works the same. So for this one, we'll use the wire FID instead of one of the fancier ones. So we open it up, and we insert right down the center. Get it in part way. Now we can put our rope on and hook that in. Now we just need to add a little tape here so that it doesn't move up and catch on the strand as it's going through. So add a little bit of tape. It doesn't have to be too tight, it just has to be secure. And we'll add a little tape down on the end where the points went into the rope, right back here. Once again, doesn't have to be too tight, just secure. And you can use any kind of tape you have. I used masking tape, but you can use electric tape. And we're just going to work that tool down to our black mark that we made. Let's see if I can do it with my right hand. Okay, so we've got it coming out. Now we just need to milk that in. And as you can see, it pops right out. So we've got our tail sticking right out there. Pull as much out as you possibly can, and then you can remove the tape and the FID. Now I'm going to just cut right down here because we want to get rid of the tape as well, along with the FID. Okay. FID's out. We'll just get rid of all that tape out of the way. Okay. So we've got that pulled out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take out 2 strands here and cut them away, 2 about a rope diameter further down, and then 2 more a rope diameter down. what we're trying to do is we're trying to taper this splice, make it smoother so that there isn't a sudden change in the diameter of the rope because of the berry. When we pull these out, you'll notice you've got some strands going around clockwise and some counterclockwise. Pull them out in pairs so you've got one going each way. So we've pulled a set out. Since this is polyester, it's easy to just use a regular scissors. If you had one of the high-tech fibers, a sharp knife would be the better thing to use, just because you don't want to dull your scissors. It's easier to resharpen a knife. But a knife could certainly be used on polyester as well. And then take two down here. Now for the last 6 strands, just fan them out, see if they're all different lengths. Since we had cut the rope originally at an angle and had just removed the tape instead of cutting the end, the fit and the tape off, there is a bit of a taper to it. If it looks like there's too many that are all the same length, just shorten them a little bit so that it fans out and they're at different lengths. Once you've got that, you can grab the rope up here where the berry starts and just milk that inside. And as you can see, goes right in, and you end up with a nice smooth taper, and you've done your first Brummel splice.